What's up guys, and welcome to my first ever Pokemon challenge on this channel. I know this is very sudden, but I decided to do this for fun. For today's challenge we're going to be doing, can I beat Pokemon Sword with only the fire starters? I think this challenge will be interesting because it will be the first time I ever beat a Pokemon game with only 4 Pokemon, since there are only 4 sets of starters available in Gen 8. It's also going to be very hard towards the end because the Rock Gym and Biberical Cell Smash move, which will be pretty hard because we're going to have to find a way to outspeed it before it one-shots our entire team. Personally, I think with a Libero Scorbunny, we might have enough strength to do it, so I'm pretty optimistic that this challenge is 100% possible for me. I decided to name our main protagonist Flare. After all, we're going to be using only fire starters for this entire run. Now we can finally start our Pokemon journey. I decided to choose Grookey because that'll mean our rival will get Sobble, which will make the challenge a little bit harder on us. After easily defeating Hop in our first battle, and other filler stuff that totally won't matter to the plot later in the game, we can finally swap out our Grookey for a fire starter team. We have Scorbunny, Charmander, Litten, and Torchic. After making our way through Route 2, we have to face Hop once again, but this time with our new team. Hop sends out Lulu while we send out Litten. But 2 Embers easily take it down, although we take a bit of damage from Tackle. Hop sends out Sobble while we keep Litten in. I decided to go for Paralysis by using Lick so I can get an easy speed advantage, although it's still able to hit us with a Pound, so I use Growl to lower its attack stat. Sobble then almost takes my health to red, so now I'm forced to switch to Scorbunny. It then lands a Growl on us, so I then use a Quick Attack which turns Scorbunny into a normal type. It's unable to move, so we call for another Quick Attack, which is able to survive on a silver health using Water Gun on us. Thankfully, since we're a normal type now, that doesn't matter, so we use another Quick Attack and the battle is now over. That's because it only takes 2 Quick Attacks to defeat Rookidee. Yeah, we weren't gonna lose this. After that, a meteor comes crashing down that. After getting some drip, we make our way for the wild area to get to Milostook for the ceremony. While in Milostook, we actually meet someone who totally won't be important to the plot letter, and now we can type in our trainer number. We go to our hotel and have our first encounter with Team Yell. As you expect, they're total pushovers and we easily defeat them. On our way to Route 3 run, the Hop who's demanding the battle from us. 1 double kick takes down Lulu. After using 4 Embers from Rookidee, Hop uses a potion on it, so we're forced to use more runes to take it down. Not without damage, of course. I sent out Litten to paralyze Sobble. I decided to send out Charmander, and yes, I named it Bruh, but a few Dragon Breaths take it down, giving us the win against our rival once again. After traveling through the Galar Mines, we're challenged by Beed, or Beed-A, I'm not sure to be honest. Since our Litten knows Bite at this point, we easily sweep his entire team. There's nothing really much to talk about, but our Torchic did learn Aerial Ace, which will be very helpful against the fighting gym later on. I also decided to halt the evolutions just to make the grass gym a little bit harder for us. After some more filler, story, we can finally challenge the first gym leader of the game. We start things off with Litten, while he starts off with Gossifleur. It actually takes a lot more Embers than I expected to take it down. But Elastic goes down, but it actually does some decent damage to us, so we send out Charmander for the final fight. Right off the bat, we go for a Dynamax for a Max Flare. Surprisingly, it actually doesn't do that much damage. He actually does some pretty decent damage to us with a Max Overgrowth. Our Solar Power ability actually gets activated because of this. This allows us to do more damage with Max Flare, almost taking it down. And it actually brings us down to red health with Max Overgrowth, which is pretty surprising for me. One more Wax Flare, and the other Gloss is now down, giving us the first gym badge of this challenge. I just had to evolve over starters because I know the water gym is going to be absolute pain for us. After making our way for Route 5, we see this poor man getting robbed by some Team Yell grunts. And yeah, it's not even worth mentioning how easy to go down. After that, this still for some reason unnamed man gives us a bike. Next up is our 4th rival battle against Hop, and he immediately sends out Lulu, and I start things off with Torracat, and he easily gets one shot by a double kick. Next is Drizzle. It lands around on us, and we go for a lick for paralysis. Next I send in Rabbit as it immediately gets hit by a Water Pulse, sending itself to nearly red. Thanks to it not being able to move, 2 double kicks is enough to take it down. Next we send in Combuskin to deal with Corvisquire. We actually almost managed to take it down, but it survives on a sliver of health. Eventually we go down to Pluck. Hop heals Corvisquire with a super potion, but eventually with Charmeleon we take it down, giving us yet again another win against Hop. Finally in the city we see Chairman Rose in his underwear for some reason, trying to slay the ladies. But none of this matters as we can finally challenge the second gym leader, Nessa. As you expect, our first few attempts do not go well, as we almost always go down to Dreadnought. Luckily, I'm able to find the TR for Electro Ball in the wild area, so I teach Raboot that. I'm pretty sure we could have beat it on our first try, but I'm dumb, so instead of using a quick attack to finish off Arrokuda, I used an Electro Ball, which doesn't outspeed it, so we go into the Dreadnought fight not in full health, which, yeah, doesn't go too well. This time we go to the Dreadnought fight with full health, as we use a Max Lightning to bring down its health at half HP. We actually get hit with a Max Geyser, which doesn't do much damage to us. Then uses Max Strike, which actually brings our HP down to below half health. Max Lightning is more than enough to finish it off for the win. With this, we finally claim our second gym badge. After eating our very delicious dish of napkins, we are challenged by Bede once again. Starting things off with Torracat, we easily beat his soloist with a bite. Starting things off with Gothita, surprisingly it survives with a sliver of health after we use bite. Torracat easily tames Psyshock as we go for a bite, but Gothita heals with a potion. Another bite takes it down to a sliver of health as we use Lick to finish it off. Next up is Hyena, which we easily one-shot with a bite. Next up is Ponyta. It survives on a sliver of health just like Gothita, but isn't even a problem as Psychic barely does anything to us as we go for another bite, securing our win. The team skull fight here is actually a little bit longer than I was expecting, but we win anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It was kind of my fault because I replaced Combusken's double kick with Slash, and they mostly use Dark type, so yeah. We head back to our hotel to sleep for the night, only to be ambushed by Marnie. She actually goes down like really easy. Jessie starts off with 2 fighting types. Combusken's aerial ace is more than enough to take care of them both. We actually get very unlucky with how many times Bite makes us flinch here. It's almost embarrassing. Nearly 3 flinches? Come on. We eventually take it down with Raboot though. After that we can challenge Kabu, who starts off with Ninetales. It actually takes a lot longer than I thought it would to take it down, but we eventually do take it down. Unfortunately, we get burned in the process due to us changing types, allowing us to be burned. So eventually Raboot goes down to Arcanine. I tried to paralyze him with Torracat's Lick, but for some reason I just got very bad luck here because it straight up didn't work even though I used Lick like 2 times. Either way, Torracat takes down Arcanine. I bring in Combusken for the final showdown against Centiskorch since it has flying type moves which will be super effective against it. Although Sento Inferno actually does some pretty good damage to us, its Combusken is able to take it as we use a Max Air Storm to break it down to below half health. We actually do take some Fire Spin damage, but it doesn't matter as we outspeed it in the next turn, giving us the win. With that, we can finally have our 3rd gym badge. This means we can finally head down to Hemlock for the next part of the game. After some thrilling plot stuff, and another battle against Team Yell, a lot of our Pokemon actually start evolving into their final evolutions, which is pretty good. Once again, we're challenged by Hop to another battle, and the battle that I generally forgot was in the game. Either way, he sends out Cramorant, and we send out Incineroar. Cramorant actually starts off with Dive, but actually doesn't do as much damage as I was expecting it to do. Either way, we easily one-shot it with a Darkest Lariat. It throws a fish at us, which brings our health below yellow. I send out Charmeleon to deal with Silicobra. Although Flamethrower is strong, it's just not quite enough to finish off Silicobra. On top of that, it uses a Super Potion, forcing us to use another Flamethrower, but we'll easily take it down with a Slash in the next turn. Next up is Drizzile, and I was hoping we could paralyze it with Dragon Breath, but God just said no, so that didn't work. Either way, the combination of a Sucker Punch and Water Pulse brings her health all the way down to red. We land another Dragon Breath, and this time it actually paralyzes. I decided to send in Raboot so I could finish it off with Electro Ball, which works perfectly. He sends out his Toxel, and obviously we beat him. Like, come on bro, it's a freaking Toxel. With that, we can finally challenge the gym leader. Despite 2 of our Pokemon being fully evolved, we're still so frail and weak, and we easily get beat by them. This time with all of our Pokemon evolved, we actually easily take down most of our Pokemon with Charizard thanks to Air Slash. I tried to get Blaziken to face off against Sirfetch'd, but Bounce isn't enough to one-shot it, so it gets one-shot itself. But Cinderace easily takes it down for Pyro Ball. We send in Charizard for the final showdown against Machamp. 1 Max Air Strike is more than enough to take it almost down to red health. We don't actually take that much damage from Max Darkness. 1 more Air Storm is more than enough to take down Machamp, giving us our 4th gym badge. After that, we run into Bede committing a crime. So naturally, we battle him. I start things off with Charizard while he brings out Delusion. It only takes an Air Slash and a Flamethrower to take it out though. I thought it would be a good idea to send in Incineroar so he can just land a lot of Darkest Lariats to easily one-shot the rest of his team, which actually worked pretty well. With this, we easily one-shot the rest of his team. After Bede is rightfully taken to jail, after making our way through Glimmerwood Tangle, we can go ahead and challenge the Fairy Gym Leader Opal. We send out Charizard while she sends out Weezing. We actually nearly one-shot Weezing with a Flamethrower, but it uses Sludge on us. After answering one of her questions, we actually get a stat boost, which, okay, I ain't complaining. Either way, the next attack easily takes on Weezing. I thought Togekiss couldn't take down Charizard, but I forgot that it had ancient power, so yeah, we're down. Even the Electro Ball isn't enough to take it down in the next turn. Damn. Although we do get another stat boost and easily take it down in the next turn. After that, she takes on Mawile, which we obviously one-shot. This brings us down to Alcremie, which we Dynamax Cinderace for. Max Flare actually does some pretty decent damage to it. Once we get Harsh Sunlight, this basically seals its fate. Max Finale does basically nothing to us. We barely take it down with another Max Flare. Alcremie uses G-Max Finale one more time, but since this does absolutely nothing to us, one more Max Flare is more than enough to give us the win, giving us our 5th gym badge. After getting dripped out, Opal decides to make Beat her successor or whatever. After that, it seems like our rival is demanding another battle. I thought this would be kinda hard due to how tanky Snorlax is, but turns out this is really easy. He sends out Trevenant while we send out Charizard. One Flamethrower is enough to one-shot it, obviously. Next we send in Cinderace while he sends out Inteleon. Electro Ball does a little bit over half damage. Thanks to Libero ability, we're able to survive a Snipe Shot. And one more Electro Ball easily takes down Inteleon. Now, I thought Snorlax would actually be kind of a problem and be hard to take down, but I was genuinely surprised. Since Low Kick's damage depends on the weight of the Pokemon, and since Snorlax is obviously a pretty fat boy, we obviously take it down in one shot. As for Heatmor, we actually nearly take it down with one Low Kick, but it survives with a sliver of health. Fire Lash did some decent damage to us and lowered our defense. Hop decides to use a Hyper Potion, of course, but that doesn't stop us from taking it down eventually. Next up is Bontown, if I'm pronouncing that right, and we easily one-shot it with a Pyro Ball, giving us yet another win against our rival. And look at that, we're already at the Rock Gym. I didn't think we'd get here this soon, but I decided to teach all my Pokemon new moves. If I remember correctly, I taught Charizard Dig, and I also taught like a lot of my Pokemon Revenge. Little did I know how easy this gym would actually be in the end. After arriving in Ridgefester, and getting through the worst gym puzzle in the entire game, we could finally challenge Gordy. And I gotta say, if it wasn't for me choosing Charizard at the start, I think we would have been screwed. So, I'm going to try to explain what I think happened here. Since Charizard is both flying and fire type, I think what happens here is that the AI goes for a Rock Tomb because that's quite effective instead of using Razor Shell. Although now that I think about it, I think Cinderace's Low Kick would have been enough to one-shot it. Either way, we happily take our W. Next he sends out Stone Journal or something, I don't know how to pronounce it. Either way, it's an easy one-shot. I did get a little overconfident here in his Power Ball, which actually didn't do much, but Rock Tomb didn't do much either, so it doesn't really matter. Low Kick didn't do much either, and we're hit by another Rock Tomb, but this time it's not very effective. One more Power Ball takes down the half Bug type. I actually sent in Blaziken to deal with his last Pokemon, Colossal. After Dynamaxing, Max Knuckle isn't enough to take it even down to half health. G-Max Volcanic doesn't do too much damage to us either, but one more Max Knuckle is enough to end Colossal. And with that, we get our 6th gym badge. After that, once again, it seems like we're challenged by Hop to another battle. He leads off with Double, and I start off with Charizard. I tried to go for a Dig, but it didn't do as much as I thought it would. But it doesn't really matter as we finish it off in the next turn with Flamethrower. Next up, I switch in Cinderace to face Inteleon. Electro Ball almost takes down Inteleon to red health. It lowers our attack and special attack stats with Tearful Look. And on top of that, Hop decides to use a potion on Inteleon, so we don't deal as much damage as we did before. Even with another one, we barely take it out as it survives, leaving it free to use a Snipe Shot on us, which although doesn't do as much damage since we're already Electric type thanks to Libero, it still does a massive amount of damage. Although I decided to keep in Cinderace for Snorlax. We easily one-shot with a Low Kick due to how heavy it is. I kinda screwed up here because I accidentally used Low Kick instead of Pyro Ball, which would have 100% one-shot Corviknight here, so we go down, but either way, the next turn is a one-shot. Next up is Pincurrent, and one Fire Fang already takes it down nearly to red health. It uses Curse, but that doesn't even matter because the next turn we easily take it down, giving us yet another win against our rival. After easily defeating a Team Yell Grunt, we take a ride on our weird water balloon bike thingy, so we can hit the Spike move for Smike Mouth, I don't know, to meet up with Marnie. And it seems she wants another battle with us, so let's get to it. Right off the bat, she starts off with Light Pearl while we start off with Blaziken. Although Blaziken does get Sucker Punch, we easily take out Light Pearl with one Revenge. Next up is Toxicroak, and I go for Blaziken, which misses. Great. This allows Toxicroak to use Swagger on us, which raises our attack but makes us confused. But this practically seals Toxicroak's fate, as it easily gets one-shot with Blaze Kick after we get lucky with Confusion. One Blaze Kick nearly takes on Scrafty, but it's not enough as it survives barely. Not wanting to risk anything, we decided to switch into Charizard. After using a cheap Hyper Potion, one Air Slash is nearly enough to take it down, but it's just not enough. Crunch isn't enough, so we easily take it down in the next turn. After being brutally humiliated in its last battle against Morpeko, I decided to send in Incineroar for a rematch, which turned out to be the right move as using the paralysis wasn't enough to stop Incineroar from one-shotting Morpeko with a revenge, giving us yet another win over Marnie. After battling various grunts and gym trainers, we see the gym leader singing in front of a crowd that I can't tell was booing or cheering. If that is booing, then that's kinda weird considering the fact that this is his own team. I guess what he's singing is so bad that not even his own team members like it. Either way, it's time to take on Piers for the 7th gym badge. He starts things off with Scrafty, while we start things off with Blaziken. Right off the bat, we get hit with Fake Out and Sand Attack, so yeah, that sucks. After being mad that Pocket Sand got thrown in its eyes, Blaziken hits Scrafty with a revenge, taking its HP down to half. One more is enough to finish off Scrafty. Next up is Malamar, and since we have no real answer to it, I decided to use Charizard. Flamethrower deals big damage to Malamar, as Malamar uses Foul Play, which doesn't do as much damage. One more Flamethrower easily takes on Malamar. Next up is Obstagoon as we choose Cinderace. We try to go for a low kick but uses Obstruct to protect itself and our defense is lowered in the process. Shaking this off, another low kick does big damage to it, but since he used counter we easily go down. We send in Incineroar to face off against Obstagoon, as Piers does the baffling decision of using a Dark type move against another Dark type. I get that it's Galar and I'm using an annoying Pokemon, but you would think a Dark type specialist would have studied every Dark type in the National Dex. Anyway, Skuntank is next as we use Charizard. We connect with a Dragon Breath, which actually causes paralysis. We nearly take it out with a Flamethrower, but it survives as it uses Screech to lower our defense. One more Air Slash is enough to take out the Poison Dark type though, earning us yet another gym badge. 1 to go. After hitting back to Hammerstoke, we can finally challenge the final gym leader Raihan. And boy do I have to tell you that this is absolute pain. We still ended up winning at the end, but goddamn wasn't this repetitive. I thought we were starting off pretty good since we one-shot Gigalith with a low kick. Flygon uses a Breaking Sprite, making her attack stat go down. This means that Darkest Lariat doesn't do that much damage. Not only does Low Kick not do much, but we get hit by yet another Breaking Swipe. And on top of that, our Cinderace gets paralyzed. As you can see here, Darkest Lariat doesn't do that much damage. Sandaconda here also uses freaking Protect, because of course it has that. And we get hit by another Breaking Swipe. I go for a Powerball thinking that'd be enough, but of course it wasn't. Not even near enough. After that, Incineroar goes down to her Earth Power. I swap in for Charizard thinking we easily finish off Sandaconda with Flamethrower, but it barely survives. Why does that always happen? Also, Cinderace got taken down, so I sent in Blaziken. The chaos finally comes to a close as we finally finish off Flygon. God damn, such an annoying Pokemon. Blaze Kick also takes out Sandaconda. Next up is Duraludon. I decided to Dynamax Blaziken because I know it can use some pretty cool fighting moves against a Steel Dragon type, so let's go for it. Charizard does some pretty hefty damage with Flamethrower to it, not before being knocked out by a Max Rockfall. One Max Knuckle is somehow not enough to take it out though. G-Max Depletion doesn't do too much damage to us, so we're able to tank it. And finally, one more Max Knuckle is enough to take it out, meaning that now we have all 8 gym badges, meaning that we can challenge the league now. After making our way to Wydon, and teaching Incineroar Blast Burn, we can finally battle Marnie in the first Champion Cup battle. She starts off with Light Power while we start off with Charizard. Right off the bat, I use Dig for lots of damage, and even a Torment can stop us as the next Flamethrower easily takes it out. Morpeko is next, so I send in Incineroar for a battle that basically goes the same way that I did last time. Incineroar gets paralyzed, but still one-shots Morpeko with Revenge. Next is Scrafty. It uses Scary Face on us, which already doesn't do much because we're already slower than it, but we still use a Blast Burn, which does very high damage to it. At this point, it was chopping away our health, so I decided to use Blaziken. It uses Scary Face on us, but it doesn't really matter as Revenge easily takes it down. Now it's time for Toxicroak. I really thought I was going to use Swagger, so I tried to use Bounce, but for some reason I used Toxic, which I guess is a better move, but pretty bad for us. Despite being hit by Venoshock bringing us to red health, we easily one-shot with a Blaze Kick. This brings us down to Grimmsnarl, who I decided to Dynamax Cinderace for. Right off the bat, Max Flare does a ton of damage to Grimmsnarl. Actually does some decent damage to us with a G-Max Snarl, but it's already too late as another Max Flare takes it out, giving us our first victory in the Champion Cup. Next up is our final battle against Hop, who has probably the best battle theme in this entire game. It's so catchy. Anyway, he starts off with Double and we start off with Blaziken. Right off the bat, he uses Sand Headbutt on me, which actually caught me by surprise. But Revenge either way takes out Double in one hit. Next up is Snorlax, who I send out Cinderace to deal with. Every time we battle Snorlax, it easily gets one shot by Low Kick, and this time isn't different. Next is Corviknight, and I didn't stroke this time and actually used Power Ball, easily one-shotting it. Next is Pinchurin, and I used Charizard against it. I call for a dig, hoping to one-shot it with it. Even after a dig, it somehow narrowly survives, which is generally surprising. Pinchurin gets healed by a full restore, of course it does, but we easily take its health back to red using Flamethrower, and another one knocks it out. Lastly is Inteleon, and obviously I use Cinderace to deal with it. Max Lightning does a ton of damage, nearly taking it out in one shot. Hop does use Max Geyser on us, but thanks to us being Electric type at the moment, we easily tank it. And one more Max Lightning is enough to give us the win, meaning that we can finally progress with the story. Before progressing with the story, I decided to go to the wild area. I knew we have to fight Nessa later on, which was going to be a huge problem for us so we're not prepared. I decided the best way to train was to use candies that I get from max raids. The problem is that the max raid system is completely rigged if you don't have anyone else to challenge it with. You don't know how many times I see the AI partners use a freaking Togepi. Like, come on, bro. What genius trainer is thinking, I'm not going to be facing this giant Pokemon. I should bring my Togepi along. After battling our way through Rose Tower, we're about to face off against Olina in the battle. Right off the bat, she starts off the battle with Frostlass, where we start off with Blaziken. She goes for a double team, which actually kind of worries me for a little bit, but we still land a Blaze Kick, easily one-shotting it. I send in Charizard to deal with my Liltic, and using Thunder Punch, we easily take it down to half health. As you can see, I got the TM for Thunder Punch to deal with Nessa later. Anyways, after another Thunder Punch, it somehow survives and uses Surf on us, which surprisingly doesn't do too much damage to us, and another Thunder Punch takes it out. Next up is Salazzle, who we use Dragon Pulse on, which actually takes it below half health, but isn't enough to take it out. We get hit with Venoshock, but one more Dragon Balls easily takes it out. Next is Serena, who we obviously one-shot. Next is Garbodor, and I decided to use Incineroar, and this was just kind of funny, as I forgot to Dynamax like an idiot. It uses Max Quick on us, but it doesn't do as much damage as I thought it would. In fact, Flare Blitz does a way more damage somehow. After finally Dynamaxing our Pokemon for real this time, I get hit by Max Quake, which actually takes our Pokemon down to red health. But one more Max Darkness easily takes it out, giving us the win. After that, we'll take a look at our Pokemon stats. First leader is Blaziken, who has the moves Blaze Kick, Thunder Punch, Brave Bird, and Aura Spear. I think this is a pretty good moveset. Like, for real, Aura Spear is a pretty cool move to have. Then here's Charizard with Air Slash, Flare Blitz, Thunder Punch, and Dragon Pulse. Now here's Cinderace with Electro Ball, Pyro Ball, Revenge, and Double Edge. Next up it's Incineroar with Flare Blitz, Throat Chop, Blast Burn, and Darkest Lariat. I think I did an okay job with moveset building. It's not very competitive or anything, but it's definitely good for brute strength. Let's hope the next few rounds will go very well for us. After all, after Beat, we have to face off against Nessa, which will probably be a pain. Anyways, let's get to it as we have to fight Bede first, who for some reason only has 4 Pokemon. He starts off with Mawile while we start off with Incineroar, and obviously we take it down in one shot. I send in Charizard to deal with Rapid Dash. We do some pretty decent damage to it with Air Slash. He uses Psycho Cloud on us, but it doesn't do that much damage, and another Air Slash takes it out. Next is Gardevoir, and we use Thunder Punch to do some decent damage to it. He uses Calm Mind, but we easily take it out in the next turn. After that is Hatterene, who we Dynamax for. Wax Flare does a ton of damage to it, and so does Max Mindstorm, as it does a ton of damage to us. But thanks to the harsh sunlight, the one more Max Flare takes it out. This gives us an easy win over Bede. Next up is the battle I was most worried about, the battle against Nessa. I will say this battle actually went way better than I thought it would go. In fact, it was kinda easy. She starts off with Gliscopod while we start off with Blaziken. Right off the bat we use Thunder Punch, but due to its ability Emergency Exit, it gets recalled. Beeruscuda uses Liquidation on us, which does heavy damage on us, but we're able to survive and use Thunder Punch, which one-shots it. As Gliscopod comes back out, we easily take it down with another Thunder Punch. Next is Seakin, who also goes down to 1 Thunder Punch. Are you starting to see why I said this was easy? Pelipper's ability does cause a rain effect, but that doesn't matter as we easily one-shot with a Thunder Punch. Dreadnought is out last as we Cinderace for the final battle. 1 Max Lightning does massive damage to Dreadnought. He uses G-Max Stone Search on us, which actually does a lot of damage. 1 more Max Lightning easily takes it out, giving us another win over Nessa. I will say though, I find it weird that the gym leader that's named after the Loch Ness Monster doesn't use Lapras on their team. You know, the Loch Ness Monster Pokemon. I know Dreadnought is her ace, but Lapras does have a Gigantamax form, so it would have been a way better ace for her in my opinion. But now in the next battle we have to face off against Bede once again. She sends out Hawlucha first while we send out Blaziken. I tried to go for a Thunder Punch, but he uses Flying Press on us, which is super effective. Either way, Thunder Punch is a one-shot. Next is Phalanx, as we easily one-shot with a Brave Bird. Despite the recoil leaving us in the red, I decided to sacrifice Blaziken by keeping it empty as another Brave Bird. Graptov gets one-shot by Brave Bird, as we also faint from recoil. Surfetch is next, so I use Cinderace. Surprisingly enough, Double Edge is more than enough to one-shot it. Last and not least, I decided to send in Charizard to face off against Machamp once again. And yeah, easily we one-shot with Max Airstorm, giving us our second win against B. After this, we have to fight Raihan for the finals. Strangely, the Dragon-type specialist starts off with Torkoal of all things, but it doesn't really matter as Air Slash easily one-shots it. Next up is Goodra, and we actually do some decent damage with Dragon Pulse, but it just isn't enough to take it out. It uses Rain Dance, but it doesn't really matter considering the fact we're just using Dragon-type moves. I decided to use a Thunder Punch, which easily takes it out. And for some reason, one of the strongest gym leaders decides to use his freaking fire type after setting up a Rain Dance. Good strategy. I know it's half dragon, but come on. Either way, Dragon Pulse easily one-shots it. Next is Flygon, who somehow survived the hit from Dragon Pulse, conveniently having enough time to use Sandstorm. He uses a Hyper Potion, but despite that, we easily take it out with one Dragon Pulse. Next up is Duraludon, as we keep Charizard in. I was going to switch to Blaziken, but I accidentally kept Charizard in, but this actually still works in our favor. Max Wormwind does a lot of damage to it. After surviving a Max Rockfall, one more Wormwind easily takes it out. This means I swept his entire team using only Charizard. That must have gave Raihan some flashbacks to Leon. After that, we can finally challenge Champion Elite. Oh, come on! Little did we know, Chairman Rose is actually evil the entire time. He even challenges us to a battle, which, yeah, I'm not even hearing you with this one. He uses mostly Steel type, so obviously we will win at the end. After the champion evolved the Galar region decides to use a normal Pokeball to catch a legendary for some reason, and fighting a comically large hand with two dogs. We can actually challenge Leon for real this time. And this sucked. This battle was actually pretty hard, and it's only because there's one Pokemon now that I'm realizing it, and that's Seismitoad. You see, Seismitoad here is half ground type, meaning that we can't even use our Thunder Punch strategy to get an easy win over it. This leads to us suffering loss after loss after loss. We actually did get very close on this one attempt that led to a double knockout, but we still lost in the end anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I decided it would be a good idea just to get more TMs and hope that we can win that way. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, after a few more losses, I finally present you the winning attempt. He sends out Aegislash while we send out Incineroar. We easily one-shot Aegislash with one Blast Burn. Next is Haskellus, who I use Charizard for. A Dragon Pulse is just not enough to one-shot it though. He uses Outrage on us doing big damage. One more Dragon Pulse takes it out. Next is Dragon Ball, and here I meant to switch out to Incineroar, but I accidentally kept Charizard in, so he goes down. But once Incineroar is in, we hope that Dragon Breath doesn't paralyze us, and it doesn't, so we use Darkest Lariat, which one-shots it. Next is Seismitoad, who I send in Cinderace to deal with. 1 Giga Impact absolutely decimates it. Leon's own Cinderace comes out as it uses Acrobatics on us since we're wide open due to a Rage Charge. Giga Impact easily decimates it anyways. This means that we're at the final stretch of the entire battle. I sent an Incineroar to deal with Charizard. Charizard does have Max Rockfall or Rock Slide or whatever the move is, and I probably should just use Blaziken if that's the case because it actually did survive for this entire fight because we didn't use it at all. But anyways, we still win in this attempt obviously, so we're just gonna ignore that. Right off the bat, he uses Max Wildfire on us, which barely does any damage to us. Then we hit it with a Max Lightning, which does massive damage to it. We survive a Max Rockfall, and then one last Max Lightning is enough to take out Charizard, making us the champion of the entire Galar region. This means that I can beat Pokemon Sword with only the fire starters. Now in hindsight, I did kind of make this challenge a little bit too easy by allowing myself to be able to evolve the starters, but Leon gave us a pretty good challenge there at the end, so I'm satisfied. I'm not really that good at Pokemon anyways, so if you want to try this challenge on your own without evolving the starters, then be my guest. By the time I post this, it's going to be over 10 years since Pokemon X and Y was first announced, which is pretty cool. I definitely want to do more content like this in the future. I really had a lot of fun here. Although, I'm going to play it safe and wait for Pokemon Home support to be added to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet before I attempt any Gen 9 runs. Anyways guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. This video's been in the works for probably a while now, but that's mostly because I'm a heavy procrastinator. But I'm just glad to be getting it done now. And with that, I hope I see you guys in the next video. Bye!